What's up, guys? Why do names and numbers matter almost most than anything? I don't care what a person believes in, right? I don't care what a person or people desire. If their name or their names and the numbers there are in their letters that define their name are not compatible for what they desire or want, it will not have power. Right? So the reason I decided to talk about tonight about numbers and letters, names, obviously, is because I'm just getting, you know, not upset, but it's very intrigued to see a lot of people, especially young people. I remember when I was 18, 17, and you feel this sense that you want to conquer, you want to succeed, right? In your city, in your community, in your family. You want to succeed, you want to achieve things, you want to, you know, experience the world, right? How you doing, guys? Hey, what's up, Patricia? And so it was very hard, right? Because I didn't get into all this numerology until I was growing up, right? But now that I work with a few young people, it reminds me of myself when I was, you know, like I said, 15, 18 years old. And the only thing that my parents, right, or my family taught me is like religion, right? That's all you knew, and that's all you do. Religion and work and believe in God, whatever it is. But we all know that leads you to almost nowhere, all right? You get more confused and lost along the way, right? I'm not saying that religion doesn't work, right? But at the end of the day, we have to be very specific what we want to know, right? Is it a question about we want to know God or we want to know ourselves? And I found out in my experience that growing up, right? My family will took us to church and all this stuff. And this was not to know ourselves, though. This was very, very bizarre and very like, it was not until I was like in my 30s. I'm like, what? We go to church, we read this and that to know other people, but not ourselves. And I think that's that's horrible. You know, that's very bad. And I cannot just go and just by experience let other people, especially co-workers, family, friends, right here stream, go another day with all this deep sadness and is this feeling, man, about like what am I supposed to do, right? What am I supposed to do today and tomorrow, right? We don't like the jobs that we have. We probably don't like the partners that we have. We don't like the family that we have because they don't understand us, right? And this keeps piling up, and it keeps just making us angry and more angrier and angrier, right? And this is why the reason I decided to talk about why names and numbers matter most than anything. More than anything. You know, I put my hands on fire on this because I spent a lot of years, right, in the place I already mentioned before, and I had the time to investigate, study religion, meet people from all over the world, and at the end of the day, wherever you go, there's names and numbers, and that intrigued me. And interesting. Personally, I never wear condoms. Okay, that's good. So yeah, one of the first things, guys, you guys need to understand that you carry a name, right? And this is not new. You know, there's a lot of people, numerologists, astrologists out there, social media, right? But I had to give my own unique way of thinking about this, right? I'm not a professional numerologist, but I've studied numerologies, right? And I've met a lot of people who have very not good stories, right? Very bad experiences because they encounter some numerologist or psychic or astrologist that was a fraud, right? But that doesn't mean just because you met somebody who was a scam or who didn't know exactly, or he just knew the basics about numerology or numbers, that doesn't mean that the numbers in itself don't exist or they don't have power. Just because you met somebody who said that I know what your name means, I know what your career path should be, I know what you should choose, la la la, and then you go and you fail, you will not understand, you will not know if it was that person who you trusted and he was wrong. So what I've learned, pay attention to this, guys. What I've learned with numerology is that somebody can introduce you, but at the end of the day, it's you who carry that name, right? It will be you after you find out what's the number or the numbers that vibrate with your name. And after that, it's you, right? You have to follow that path, not knowing what's going to happen, but for the first time knowing that you're starting where you need to start. It's with your name, right? Nobody teaches this. Nobody, right? Nobody, right? If we go to religion, we have Islam. It has a name, Islam. You just don't go to a church. Okay, what are they preaching here? Oh, we don't even know. Just go in there. No. You go to a Christian church, it's called this. You go to a Muslim church, it's called this. Names matter, guys, right? They don't teach you this in school because they think it's a science that is not based on factual data or information. But it is. Because the most factual data and information that any human being can have is experience. And for you to have experience, you have to live it in your own body and mind. It's the same going to college, university. I have family who went to college, university. They're doctors, right? Lawyers. But they haven't been to a real hospital, right? It's not until they go and they see and they put the hands on, now they can prove that what they learn really matches what they're experiencing. See what I'm saying? So this is why knowing your name, the meaning of your name, right? It's not only the number that your name represents. I combine both. It has, in my own experience, it has helped me with both, right? The meaning of your name, the root word of your name, and then the number that represents, right? This is why we as parents, whoever is parents, or whenever you want to be a parent, this is why the spouse, right, the husband and the wife are so excited when they're going to have a baby, and they're like, what are we going to name him? What are we going to name him? But it's so crazy that after you name him, then you forget about that. Knowing that that's the name that he's going to represent from he's born until he dies. And that's the only thing that has more power than anything. I don't care what religion he has. I don't care what beliefs he has. Or as a parent, what information you're passing on to your son. It doesn't mean it's wrong, but it's not compatible to his name and to his numbers. I learned that real quick. And with my children, I'm like, why do we get excited to choose a name, but then after he's born, we just get we just lose that excitement, right? And I think that's one of the a little bit like a fault in parents. We get too excited that we don't even know what that name means sometimes, like extensively, right? Not only the definition, but the number it carries, right? And I think this is very important because every time I have discussions with young people, 18, 19 years old, I can see them. They just angry with life and they're lost and they're angry at their parents because their parents are telling you, you need to do this. You need to go to college. You need to work. This is our business. When I die, you're going to carry my business. But what about his name? But what about his number that represents his name? It's not compatible with the business that you have. And that's not the son's fault. That's the parents' fault. So whenever you name someone, you need to understand that it carries power until it dies. That's what really represents you. When I was incarcerated for 9 years, just to, for people who are new, all right? I have a name, right? But it's interesting that a lot of people had my name, but nobody had my number. And let's just take it a little bit further. Let's not talk about incarceration. Let's say Social Security number. There's nobody with your Social Security number. There isn't. What is a Social Security number? Numbers, right? They're numbers. And I think numerology has been exposed more and more throughout the years, names and all that. But I think still people, we take it lightly. Like we just like, it is, but not. No, it is the real deal. Nathaniel, hi, what's up? Thank you guys for supporting. No, it is real. It is real, guys. Try this, right? And I know you might come from a very orthodox family, or you might not. I don't know. Where numerology has some type of a dark trait. It's a heresy. It's a sin. It's not good in religion because the Bible, right? The Quran prohibits it, right? But we need to understand that even these Bibles, these holy books, have letters and names and have numbers, right? By chapters, by pages, by verses. So there's no way you can deny nothing of this. There's no way. But I'm here not to criticize religion or criticize other people who don't believe in this. I'm just here to share my experience that I just want this world to be better every time, right? But how can we be better every time if you don't know yourself, right? So how do you start knowing yourself? Very easy. What's your name? What's your name? Everything started with your name, right? When you were born, they already know, they already knew, and our parents had a name for us. And there was a day that we were born, right? Numbers and letters. This is the only thing you need to study and acknowledge. Even if you are not a numerologist, you decide to be a doctor, a lawyer, president, politician, athlete, right? NBA, sports, NFL, soccer, volleyball teams, Olympics, they all carry numbers and names. So there's no way we're gonna run away from our numbers and our letters, right? So the best effective approach is to study your name, guys. Study your name. And I promise you, you will not only feel happier, you will be surprised. And here's the catch though. you will be excited because for the first time, or if you know, you just keep following, right? But if it's the first time, you will feel this satisfaction, this kind of like thirst quenched. But for the first time, you feel like, wow. For the first time, I feel that I feel that I have purpose, right? Meaning in being alive. Now I know where to start. Sometimes we don't know where to start, and it's normal because sometimes, like I said, like people that are with us, they love us, but they don't know this stuff, right? They don't know this stuff, and it's not only until other people that you meet and they start sharing their esoteric knowledge. And like I said, just because somebody shares something, that doesn't mean it's 100% truth, right? Doesn't mean that. You can find a numerologist who's a total scam, but that doesn't define that numerology doesn't exist or it's real. Or to a certain extent, at least it has more than 80% factual data information that can help you on a daily basis, right? So this is what I was very intrigued to talk tonight because it's just more and more every day, man. People are just like in fear, right? What's going on in the world, we all know, right? Upside down, and paying attention to what's going on everywhere else than yourself, it doesn't make your life better. It doesn't, right? Yes, it's good to know what's going around, what's going out in the surroundings, right? But to a certain extent, it's only you, right? You create a change by paying attention to what you have to give to the world. And what you have to give to the world, it's what's the definition of your name? What's your numbers, right? You don't compete with nobody else, right? Once you know what you mean, once you know the numbers that define you, you start exercising them on a daily basis. You start losing. You start getting less distracted, because numbers are infinite. All right? It's never ending. Right? That tells you who we are. Right? We're infinite beings. We're eternal beings here in a physical body. But if we are in a physical body, by the law of physics, we have to have a name and we have to have numbers vibrating in ourselves. It's just by default. It has to be like that, right? It has to be. You cannot ignore it. If you ignore it, you're ignoring life. And if you ignore life, then depression, sadness, unmotivated, and a lot of bad things start piling up, and you just don't see the light, right? Once you accept that you have a name, and I don't care how ridiculous it might sound, I don't care how much people might say, man, that's just not true. It's just superstition, garbage, But it's not, right? It's not. If you go to the Bible, if you go to the holy books, the God in the Bible, in the Quran, he's very, very, very angry with people who practice that, right? He doesn't see numerology like something good, right? He wants you to pay attention to him all the time. So that tells you right away, okay, if there's a reason why you don't want me to use this science, but he's using it because he created a book based on numbers and letters, right? Because that's the only thing that he can convey his truth. Any religion, you name it, any religion has to be written down in somewhere, right? Because they have to pass their truth right? They have to pass their truth to people. So like I said it before, you are the true gospel. We are the true gospel. We are the great news, right? And what it is the great news? What's the great news? That you have a name, and that name means something, and you have to give it out to the world. This is how your income is going to come back to you. And this is how people stop comparing themselves to each other, right? Once you know what your name means, what number you carry until you die, you start having more like laser focus on your life. And guys, I'm not kidding. This kind of becomes a little bit obsessive because you're just like on a roll all the time. Like you're going crazy, like looking at your watch, looking at this and everything. You just see letters and numbers out of a sudden, right? You wake up and seeing letters and numbers, you're like, whoa, whoa, right? But that's good. That's good. Eventually, you hit a stage where you get back to normal and you understand that just because you get excited and you just want to get to know more about it, you know that this is kind of like you walk through it, right? You walk through life, right? Every moment by moment, knowing who you are. But people say, okay, you need to know who you are. But how? This is what I always been battling with myself and with my parents and the church and everybody. You have to get to know yourself. But how? How do you get to know yourself? Looking at the mirror? It helps. It helps. All right? Also give it critical thinking a try. That's very good. Yes, absolutely. Like I said, right? Like I said, after you get to know, right? What's your name? What's the meaning of your name? Who are the people who have your name in history? This becomes literally a journey. This literally becomes a journey because this leads you to this and then to that, and just like time passes away, right? But in a good way, right? Iran of Israel, see? Iran of Israel, it's another names. It has a meaning. It has a meaning, right? Everything has a meaning. Names and numbers, guys, right? Names and numbers. It's the proof of reality, basically, right? Okay, me and you can be here, but that's just like, okay, you're here, okay? But in a corporate level, or any level, educational level, family level, you have to be called something, right? We see it all the time. People celebrating birthdays, and World War number one, World War II, World War III. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. World War IV, V, and it keeps going. Huh? Numbers and letters and names, they mean something. Here's an exercise, right? That you can practice with yourself at your house, at your home. Look around. From any grocery stores that you have, from any food, cereal, milk, juice, furniture, clothes, shoes, they all have a name, guys. They all have a name and they have a number, right? They all have a name and number, guys. I know it sounds so cliche, but this will make people's life so much better. And I'm not saying you guys have to go and have readings all the time. I'm not trying to say that either. I'm not saying that, right? This is not about having readings every day, because that just defeats the purpose, right? About knowing the meaning of your name, the root word of what your name means, where it comes from, and the number that you vibrate with, the numbers that vibrate with the letters, right? And that defeats the purpose, right? Once you are already aware that you have a name everywhere you go, I don't care which country, right? You will always have a number and a name. And it matters, right? It will save you so much pain, unnecessarily pain. We all go through pain, right? We all go through pain. But this will save you for that unnecessary confusion, unnecessary pain, all that. All that, right? Even what's going on right now in the news overseas, right? There was a number set, right? Even the bombs that they use, they have a specific name. Isn't that fucking, I'm sorry for, excuse my language, but this is not, I'm like, whoa, they have a name for a bullet. They have a name for a gun. They have a name literally for everything, guys, right? Is that crazy, man? I remember when I was 18, 19 years old, I was just trying to get my pair of Jordans, my pair of Nikes, and I was just like so excited with my Nikes, my Jordans, my Nike, my Jordan, my Nike. And I forgot about my name. See? Oh my God, I want to say without just being so dramatic, right? It's so crazy that we are so wrapped up with other people's names that we forget our name, right? Just like this shirt right here, right? There's nothing wrong, right? I remember somebody said, we're wearing names, right? This hat has a name, this dish has a name, okay. I mean, it's cool, right? Not everybody can make their own clothes, right? But at the end of the day, being aware that everything around you has names, your priority is to put your name first. But of course, because low self-esteem, our family thinks less of themselves, and then they pass that through their sons, through their daughters, through their family, and you have people who feel less and they're inferior to everybody. And they think by wearing nice clothes, they're going to be better, right? They can fool some people, right? But at the end of the day, if you don't know what your name means, if you're not acting upon it on a daily basis, every moment actually, that's we're just living somebody else's lives, right? This is why I came back to share this with you guys, right? It really works. I really feel very satisfied when I see not even young people, but older people, when I share this and they have a big smile, right? And the thing about it's a very genuine smile, though. It's something that they don't even smile at church sometimes, or probably they do, right? I'm not there all the time. Well, I don't go, probably. And but it's this smile. They're like, whoa, I didn't even know this, right? And I like that because I was there. I've been there, you know, when I was lost. Like, what am I supposed to do? Who am I? All these questions, right? And I know I had a discussion with a few people, like, so that's the question of you know, of over the years, right? Since the beginning of time. Who am I, right? Well, who am I? I know, but you have to start, who am I? Well, I'm a human being. Okay, yes, but who are you? You have to start with a name, guys. You have to start with a name, right? And then how old are you? And then numbers. See? Letters and numbers, names. We cannot escape them, right? And we're not trying to. We have to embrace them, learn from them, and apply it on a daily basis, right? On a daily basis. People are going to criticize you, of course, because it might be a turning point in your life, like it was in me, where people were talking to me about God, and I would just say, and they knew that I was not interested no more, right? Because there was so much that he did in my life that I'm like, this is not helping me more to succeed. Only other people are succeeding. And it looks like just like the pastors or the leaders of the church are succeeding. And I don't want that. I want to succeed on my own, right? So then I had to start learning, who am I, right? I have a name, I have numbers. What is your philosophy in life? My philosophy in life, well, it's my motto. Not philosophy, my motto. It's use your brain, right? Sharpen your mind by observing everything around you. Observations, it's your salvation, right? Observation, your observation, not mine, your observation, it's your salvation, right? If you disagree with something, good, right? Good. Don't feel shame, don't feel afraid of it. Speak it and say, I don't believe in this. But when you are introduced to something that you know, you cannot lie, that at least more than 50-70% of the information that is coming out of this person really matches your life, your experiences, you cannot live another day with the same programming that you had from your family. It cannot happen, right? You know, you might go through some little episode about getting angry, like, why didn't my parents teach me this? Or like, why is a religion contradicting that this is from the devil or this is evil, where literally this helps me throughout the day. This literally not only helps me, but it gives me a sense of accomplishment on my 24 hours that I have. Why would you be mad at that? I don't understand. I don't understand, right? More. But yes, guys. And of course, everybody has different numbers. Everybody has different names, right? You can start, this is me, right? Because I heard someone say, well, I don't like to be called by my name. I like to be called by my nickname. Here's the catch. But it's only my belief, right? By experience. You can have a nickname that you've been called since you were little. I don't know, in high school to this day. But I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to your real name, regardless if you don't like it or not. That's the catch. People say, well, I don't like my name, so I've been called this instead of this. So this is what it means. No. That might mean that this is why you're angry and you're confused and lost, and sometimes you are just up and down because you are relying on your nickname. And your nickname was something that came after your birth. Right? It still has, I'm not going to say power. It still can give you some energy. But at the end of the day, the raw truth, it's carried on your full name. Regardless if you don't like it or not. Right? Right? I can give this exception because I've done it. And I ask other people. And we have made our own research and math, and it's still compatible. Like, let's say you have a first name, a middle name, and a last name, but you've always been called your first name or the middle name, right? It still has power, right? But at the end of the day, what has power, it's your full name, right? But I believe that if you're called Alex, just like me, okay, they've been calling me Alex, right? If your name is Alexander, they call you Alex, it's still valid. It still has power, but not nicknames, right? Not nicknames. Or just in case your name is Daniel, and well, they call me John. Why would they call you John if your name is Daniel, right? Or your name is, Ashley, but they call me Camilla, or they call me another name. Why would you be like, that's to prove that you're not living the right life that you're supposed to be living at the end of the day, right? And I have a brother that he doesn't like his first name, and but he talked to me a few months ago, and I told him that even though you don't like your name, I understand that, right? And you haven't tried or you haven't changed it, right? And he's like, no, I've grown out of it a little bit. Okay, cool. But I'm gonna share something with you, brother. Like, even though you don't like it, that's the name that you have, right? Even though you don't like to be called by thy name, but it's good to know what it means, right? And what number it carries in numerology. So you can use this to your advantage, right? You don't have to tell your full name to people if you don't want to, but that doesn't take away that it means something, that it has a number that it represents. That's where I'm going, right? So, guys, I'm gonna end it up here. You guys have a good night. Get to know yourself, because that's the only duty that we have in this earth, to get to know yourself. That's the only duty. And I know, don't get offended. I won't. We're here on earth. I'm gonna wrap it up with this beautiful statement. We're not here on earth to know God. We're not. We are here to know ourselves. And that starts with our name, implicates letters, and it's defined by a number. Study that. Don't believe everything. Apply it. Exercise it. Practice it. Prove it. Give it your own twitch, your own twist. Be creative with your name, with your number. All right, guys, have a good night.